And at this time, the applicant has the opportunity to apply.
Thank you. These comments are pretty consistent with what we've heard for the last 3 years. Those that are supportive, those that are against are against. But I think it's important to remind everybody what the planning commission does and doesn't do. Their job is to decide, is this a good use of property in this section of your city? The details about stormwater, building design, all that, there are separate regulations that govern all of that, which we will adhere to completely. By right uses have to be considered, the uses that are allowed on this site by right. And as the staff report indicates, this is, for most of this, a down zone. It's a lateral zone in some of the commercial. Some of the things that I don't think are appropriately before the planning commission is a contractual lease agreement between Georgetown Communications and the Chamber of Commerce. That's a lease agreement between the two of them. That has nothing to do with the underlying zoning of the property. If Georgetown Communications wants to break that lease with the Chamber, they can do that now. It has nothing to do with that. So, I mean, I appreciate the Chamber's position. They have their contractual rights, but I respectfully suggest that is not for y'all to consider as planning commissioners. It's not the job of this body. With regard to commentary about bulkhead, legal appeals, and all of that, again, likewise, not the purview of this group. This group's job is to look at the comprehensive land use map of the city of Georgetown and decide are these appropriate uses for this part of the city. So at this point, it's pretty simple. Dry stack, heavy intensive commercial is a by right use. What we're trying to get to is very low impact single family dwellings. With regard to height, we haven't had a lot of new construction in downtown Georgetown, but if you'll look in the East Bay Street area with the flood map changes, it is required that these buildings be taller than what you've historically seen. It is not a choice to bring them down. We have sought as much public input on something like this as we can. I just want this group to focus on the proposed land uses in this section of Georgetown and the technical components of compliance with other components of the city ordinances for Clarissa and the building department and for her staff to make sure whatever we build, we do the right way. What I keep hearing is we don't know exactly what you're going to do. I'm not sure we're required to disclose exactly the site of every house and exactly what it's going to look like. This project, especially with the Georgetown Communications piece, may take years to implement. And so much of what actually happens is driven by economic conditions, market conditions, building prices. So many things are technically they're beyond the control of everybody involved with this project. What you have before you is a thoughtfully designed plan that tells you what type of units can be on what site, how many there can be. That cannot change. There was a comment that we're going to subdivide these lots. We can't unless we come back for a major change with the same public notice and 2 readings of city council. What you see before you is the ordinance, and to the extent, by the way, there's any question about whether this is in conflict with any other provision of the ordinance, you are passing an ordinance for this piece of property. Your city attorney will confirm, and has confirmed to Clarissa, although you can speak for yourself, that we are in foursquare compliance with the zoning code for the city of Georgetown by the provisions of the ordinance we put before you tonight. If there are slight inconsistencies, it is okay because you are passing an ordinance unique to this piece of property. And that's how MPRs work. There was comment about this, it was never intended to be for a parcel this small. I'm assuming you guys have read all your zoning ordinances you have for your planned development districts. You have a 10-acre minimum. This smaller master plan residential was specifically inserted into your code for smaller sites. That's why it's there. And that's why we do this request. We think this is an eminently reasonable request for low impact single family residential on the section behind near Independent Seafood. With respect to the historic home, everybody understands it's a historic home. There's no intent for it to be anything different. But were it to be destroyed by hurricane or fire, I just need you to know that by right, under the current plan, this could be high-intensity multifamily. The core commercial uses for the Georgetown communication piece is what they have today. This just gives them some flexibility about buffering and some setbacks and the ability to manipulate, to your question there, impervious, surface ratios to hit those ratios. It just gives them a little more flexibility. There was a comment about the whole parcel is 120,000 square feet and they can build 120,000 square feet of commercial. Please understand on the Georgetown communications piece, They could build a 3-story building on that site right now today that's, 360,000 square feet. They have the right to do that. And so we believe this plan gives staff more control over what we do, forces us to protect historic trees and historic buildings, provides a required minimum amount of pervious surface for this site, and brings into account some pretty meaningful resiliency components that a lot of the historic area of Georgetown does not have. We respectfully ask for a recommendation of approval, but if not, we respectfully ask for a recommendation that we just move on to city council, because we've been doing this quite a while. I'll be glad to answer technical questions. Our engineers here, man, you had a couple of questions earlier on tonight. I don't know if you still need information about that. If you do, we'll be glad to try to get it for you.
I know the group has done a lot of research as well, and I know they have
Yeah.
questions.
I think my blood sugar's dropping.
Please, have your engineer.
Drink some water. Actually, I have.
So, please, Gary.
Chairman, if you would move into, commission discussion, please.
I need a motion to,
No, just move into.
okay, so I'd like to move into the, commission discussion, motion in commission